Xeno reacts to Max reacts to Xeno. Did any of the big streamers weigh in on this, by the way, at the time? Like, did any of them sort of... Yeah, I don't know, I guess... Yeah, I guess just weigh in at all. Yes, a lot. It was huge drama. Really? Okay. Right, I'm gonna play this. Let me go. Let me know if it's too quiet or too loud or whatever. Okay, so this is the limit maximum obvious cheetah fakes blind progression in FF14. This was from 2 years ago. So obviously, as I was saying, like since starting this game, I mean, obviously I come from WoW, so I know Max and stuff like that. I obviously know his history with Liquid and Limit actually before that, and then also his role, his raid leader role, and everything. And I know of him in WoW. So now we're gonna see how he obviously cheats, and I think this would be very interesting to watch. Like, I'm looking at it from a pure entertainment standpoint because at the end of the day, I don't care about any of it. I don't have an attachment. I could understand that if I was deeply ingrained in the FF community at the time and this had happened, yes, this probably would leave a sour taste in my mouth that's in some way. But for me now, being in this situation, Orion, I do read it. I do read it. Tell me when I haven't read it today. Yeah, I just think I think this could be really funny and really entertaining. So I'm just gonna watch. I'll probably make some jokes, but I want everyone to know that I don't dislike Max and I don't dislike FF. So we're just gonna have some fun with it.
As many of you know, recently a handful of players from World Progression World of Warcraft teams Limit and Echo have been trying their hand at raiding in Final Fantasy XIV. I want to preface this video by saying that this is content that I personally have been looking forward to for a very long time, and seeing their genuine reaction to mechanics and having a peek...
Skip a minute into this video, why is that? Why do I have to... 1 minute in is E12 P2 stuff. I'm in P2 stuff of E12 though. People said it's stuff that I've already seen. So I think it should be fine. Like right now, I'm progressing Advanced Relativity on E12. So I think as long as it's not showing that, then we're fine. Yeah, there's no run mechanics of P2. Okay. Technically I've seen the mechanic, just shows the phase. Yeah, it's fine. I'll just keep my eyes closed for that bit. I'll just listen in. It's fine. Thank you.
Into their thought processes for how they would solve or handle some of these mechanics. As a longtime hardcore blind progression raider in Final Fantasy myself, this is insanely interesting to me. I've watched every minute of Echo's progression recently as they're nearing a clear on E12S now and completing every Shadowbringers raid, wrapping up the expansion for themselves. Their prog has been a blast to watch between all of their team banter and 5-head unique strat creation, and seeing how they solve some things that we solved very long ago.
They are very, I will say about Liquid specifically, I think they're probably the most, like, if you've never watched the WoW race before and you've ever thought, oh, I might check this out, the Liquid race is the most fun to watch from player comms. I'm not talking about cast, I'm not going to compare casters and stuff from the various teams. I think Echo probably has the best cast team, but Liquid's comms are actually just the most fun to listen to. They just genuinely just seem like they're having a good time all the time, so yeah, they're funny. There's a few funny guys in there.
Would have been the case for Max and those he was raiding with as well. Early on, I was excited for every stream. I was even willing to moderate his chat when he was asking for volunteers because I knew I'd be there for the entire thing. To me, there is no better Final Fantasy content than watching competitive World of Warcraft raiding guilds attempt blind progression for the first time, especially after I had just done the reverse thing in Castle Nathria, having played solely Final Fantasy for 6 or 7 years now, and then going to try out the mythic raids in WoW.
Castle Nathria was a good raid to join.
However,
that's cool.
Very early on in Max's progression, I quickly realized that he's not actually attempting to do these raids blind at all, and instead he's watching video guides and preparing ahead of time, and this made me lose interest very fast. No one actually cares if you're blind or not. However, being disingenuous about it is what really gets me and some others.
Fully agree.
He's constantly talking about either how proud he is for solving certain mechanics quickly, like Tsunami 2, or how cringe people are for thinking he's some sort of cheater, and how he would have no reason to watch a guide because it would remove all the fun. That last point, however, is very true. It does.
I do believe that. Like, coming to this very impartial, obviously not knowing all the details. Like, I do genuinely believe that. I do think Max is the kind of guy where, like, I think he would want to solve stuff. But I could also see, looking at this very objectively, I could also see why pride would play in if you felt like, oh, there's a expectation. Like, for me, doing my blind prog, I've definitely felt at times like there's an expectation to figure out mechanics at a certain speed and a certain pace, and I have got to a point where I've gone, maybe I'm not going quick enough. Like, definitely in the coils and even in Alexander, I definitely felt a pressure of like, am I taking too long with this stuff? But actually, I found that the viewership and the viewer interaction, people didn't really care how quickly it took me. Like, nobody ever commented saying, you're so slow, oh my god, you're still here, yada yada. Like, no one was ever making those comments, but there's definitely that expectation of like, I need to prove that I'm good. And maybe that's an ego thing, maybe that's like a confidence thing or whatever. I don't really have that now. Now I just game, because I've done this so much, and I've done it over the last 18 months. I've done every single raid tier. I'm now on E12. And I'm just having a blast, man. With 200 pulls into E12, it feels like a breeze. I feel like I'm 5 pulls into that fight. Maybe it's because we're only doing it 2 days a week. That makes it more relaxed or something. I'm breaking it up a little bit. But I definitely don't feel like there's a pressure on me. But I could see Max, you're sitting at 50,000 viewers or something, and you're the main guy of WoW, and, there's this expectation, like, you gotta solve it. So I could see why that could affect somebody, but, I don't know, maybe.
Does remove all the fun, so that begs the question, why are you doing it? I almost feel bad for him because he's taken away something that he can never get back. The enjoyment from solving these things blind for the first time is a gift that we receive only once every 6 months or so, and not to mention the practice you get from each tier, being able to improve or become better at solving these things so that you're quicker the next time, or have a better gauge of what to look for or what to do to get as much info as you can in as little time as you can, if that's something you want to get better at. You don't get many opportunities to improve at blind progression in this game, and you've just wasted a whole lot of relevant ones.
That's why I was kind of annoyed about M1 to M4, that they killed it so quickly. I went to bed, and my plan was to like wake up, and then I was going to be casting. And I was going to be like the first shift of the second day. Well, I was going to be the last shift of the first day, which was like the 24-hour mark, right? And then they'd killed it, and I was really annoyed that I'd wasted a whole raid tier that I looked at because I was going to be casting, and then it just got obliterated. And then I was like, well, I've now not been able to cast, and I've had a raid tier ruined for me. So I'm actually really upset. I've got a bad taste in my mouth about Arcadian first tier, but not that big a deal. I'll be honest, I was kind of looking forward to going into a fight that I know about anyway, so that it kind of, I get a different experience and go, okay, what is FF rating like when you have already seen this stuff? But I don't know. Enough about me.
Out of new content, you're at a bit of a standstill in that regard. Anyone who does blind progression or is in that top 1% of raiders in this game can see that he's blatantly cheating. It's just obvious to us. He might have those that are less experienced or those that are dedicated fans fooled to some extent, but what I want to do now is walk you through a handful of these insanely damning clips that some people have taken throughout his blind progression.
Okay.
And give a bit of my own input or my thoughts on each one, having progressed every tier the last few years blind myself. Unfortunately, I decided to make this video a few months after he first started raiding in Final Fantasy, so most of his earlier VODs are already removed and I can't go back and scour them for some more clips of my own, but there's plenty here to look through already. This first clip is from their first ever pull of E9 normal mode. Keeping in mind that at this point he still has not done any raid outside of this chain of raids, therefore not having done the 24-man raid World of Darkness that shows you how this cloud mechanic works and how longtime raiders should have pretty instantly known what to do.
And you like, So how does it show you've been there too long? Is there an animation on the ground?
It starts turning purple.
Wait, hold up. Yo, you have to kill these these clouds, you can slow them if you're in front of them, I think. It starts turning red when you're about to go through, but you have to have some...
What role is he playing? Like, what class is he playing? Is he playing a melee or is he playing a range? I actually can't tell. His UI is. He's playing Dark Knight. Okay, so he is a melee. Okay, so there is a reason to maybe run into the melee range of a mob. But the way in which he does it is kind of fishy. Okay, that's kind of interesting.
Is there an animation on the ground?
It starts turning purple.
Wait, hold up.
Runs in front of it but doesn't face it. That's kind of the giveaway. If he knows what he's doing. If I'm remaining impartial here. But if he's playing Dark Knight, like, you would run to the mob and, like, maybe you'd run in front of it and stand in front of it and start hitting it. But you wouldn't run in front of it, face away from it, and then be like, yo, we've got to kill these. Oh, they get slowed. That's a little bit too quick, isn't it? Yeah. But like, the thing I think is, like, that would be way too quick of a give. Like, surely you'd be like, oh, is there a way we can slow them? Can we stun them? Because if I saw those things and I went, oh, we got to kill those, that's a very obvious, can we stun it? Can we slow it? Do we have anything? Like, what do we have? Does anybody have a slow? And then you might start experimenting with, like, well, you might go, you'd go and jump on it and whatever, and be like, okay, let's go beat this up. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, it's just slow. Oh, it's just gone through me and it's just slowed down. Wait, what the hell? Like, you'd kind of get there gradually, wouldn't you? Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. I mean, that's still... I still wouldn't say, 100% he's cheated here, but that's a little bit sussy. That is a little bit sussy.
Hold up. Yo, you have to kill these these clouds, you can slow them if you're in front of them, I think. It starts turning red when you're about to go through, but you have to have someone in the line of sight of, like, these clouds, I guess, and they, you can slow them down. Looks like.
You can see that he starts saying hold up for no reason before he even does anything, and then he walks in front of the cloud and instantly figures out how to slow the clouds down. He also somehow knows that it's a line of sight for being in front of the cloud and not just standing directly on top of it. For reference, Echo did this fight for hours while trying to clear the Savage difficulty, and by the time they cleared, they still weren't 100% sure how to slow the clouds down. It's definitely not the most intuitive mechanic, had you not already known how it worked from the 24-man, and definitely not something you'd figure out the entire nuance of during the middle of your first ever pull of normal mode.
Yeah, because I did this fight, and I when did I figure out that they could be slowed? I definitely figured out at some point, or I noticed it, or something. Like, I think somebody stood in it and I noticed, or something like that. But it took me a long time to even figure out that was... Like, I did notice, I think, that I was like, oh, sometimes they're moving really slow, sometimes they're moving quite quickly. Yeah. I did notice, like, man, those ones zipped in, and that one went really slow, and we killed it, like, plenty easy. So I think it was more so a case of just sometimes people were in front of it, sometimes they weren't. Yeah. But I never thought, like, I definitely thought, like, oh, could we stun it, could we slow it? But I never thought, go stand in front of it. And I definitely didn't realize it was a line of sight thing. Yeah.
Without even reviewing it. Also, as a side note, after watching some of these clips, I've noticed that he has a bit of a habit or a tick of saying hold up before he's about to have some sort of revelation that just solves whatever mechanic they're currently on.
This is a good fight.
This next clip is similar on their second pull of E5S.
Okay. So you guys are putting out the things now, right? Hold up.
Nah. I'm sorry. You don't. Nah, I'm sorry. There's no. You're not doing that. Nah. I want to let you guys know how blind cooking works for anybody who hasn't done it. You come up with an idea, and then you test it. You do not. You do not do the solution in real time. I mean, I don't know, actually. Like, you can. I've definitely done it. Look at what I did the other day on, was it Zodiac? Where the platform shifts? Like, I figured that out in real time. Like, there are mechanics you can figure out in real time, and you can kind of anticipate. But this has got a couple steps to it. Isn't it that he's got a dot on him, and then he has to go and stand in the thing so it shocks the dot off, and then you're fine? I think that would have to kind of be discussed, I think, a little bit, like maybe a little bit beforehand, like, because he's going to be sharing his thoughts, right? Yeah. Yeah, even when I understood the platform shift, I didn't know where to go. Yeah, I still don't. I nailed it the first time, and then every time after that, I was just messing it up because I was like, I don't actually know 100%. Like, it was kind of hard to do, and I got lucky on the first one that I just managed to sort it, but like I understood what was going on, but it was hard to like execute the exact right position, you know. Yeah. I mean,
Hold up.
Why would you go and stand in that?
Yo, y'all see that fucking knockback prevent? Yeah, you knockback prevent there. Yo, hold up. That fucking if you soak the fucking thunderstorm, it gets rid of that thing. The thing that spawns under your feet, the like debuff or whatever, the Levinson sun or whatever. If you
Here you can say that they haven't even begun to start analyzing this mechanic yet, as they don't even know the clouds are range baited. You can see that the tank has one and the others aren't pre-positioned awaiting them, like you would be if you did know that they were distance baited. And it looks like he deliberately runs into the cloud and is waiting for it to hit him and is eager to speak about it. He even does a double take to make sure that his debuff got removed before telling the others how to solve this panic cleanse. Before they even know that you're supposed to pair up one panicked person with one cloud person, and that you can forcibly do that.
some intricacy with the mechanics, I want a couple people to maybe grab a few extra stacks on the first pull to see if there's any mechanics that are baited on people with higher stacks, because I imagine there's some kind of interaction with that. I don't care who it is, just maybe have a healer get an extra stack, maybe a DPS. Anja get like fucking 5 stacks, see what it does. And then, well, what's up?
From normal, if you get more than 4, you get the debuffs.
Okay, then get like 3.
You can see in this clip that he desperately wants his off-tank to figure out how to bait the ad by having the highest number of stacks. He starts off trying to say any role other than tank to not be too obvious, but then he just ends up telling the tank to pick up a bunch of orbs anyway, in the slight chance that there happens.
Who did I assign to that? Did I also assign tank? I think my rationale is being you go with tank because they're going to be the tankiest. So if you're stacking debuffs on them, if it does damage, which I can't remember if it does or not. My memory's bad. You guys can remind me. I think you assigned healer first and told us to run. Unlucky. Yeah, I mean, normally I assign healers because you guys aren't doing anything the whole fight. I'm just trying to give you some responsibility. Like, I don't know, you just want to AFK the whole fight and just get carried? I'm just trying to help the healers out, man. You guys are a dead roll, so... Snacky, play the laughing track for the people in the YouTube comments to know that I'm joking. Responsibility is to leave. Healers adjust. Yeah. Yeah, this is a little bit sussy, man. Yeah, the ad doesn't bust us, so it kind of has to be a tank. Right, okay.
Happens to be a mechanic that is baited to the player with the highest number of stacks. I'm not sure why you'd ever have the suspicion from this, because in normal mode, the stacks were only used to survive the empowered raid wides. This clip is
I did figure out the stack difference though, didn't I? This is actually really fun watching this video, knowing that I did figure everything out on all these fights. Like, oh, now we're gonna get onto Shiva as well. I want to see what the Shiva could be. Yeah, watching this video is just making me feel good and enjoy my cooking experience more.
In normal mode, the stacks were only used to survive the empowered raid wides. This clip is from their first time past Icelit Dragon Song, when the Redmere copies her ice floor mechanic and spawns the ice under you. He somehow knows that you need to move and is telling everyone that they do need to move before the boss begins showing any sign of casting Akrai or any indication that you should move at all. How this mechanic should actually work if it's your first time getting there is that it should be a bit of a debate. You see very late that the boss is starting to do the animation and dialogue for the Akrais that you've done a bunch of times previously throughout the fight, so you know how that works, and you go to move, but then when you move, she spawns the ice floor under you, and you slip right off the arena. This is exactly what happened to Echo in their first attempt on this mechanic.
The thing I don't get though is like, if you were gonna, I don't want to call it cheating because it's not a cheat to watch a guide. It's not cheating. So I want to be very clear about the use of the word cheating. If you were going to be disingenuous or dishonest, yes, you wouldn't do, like, I could understand if you're like 20 pulls in and your team isn't getting it. You're like, oh, no, like, bro, this takes us like 8 minutes to get to this point in the fight. We're so deep in the fight. It's taken them ages to figure it out. I'm just gonna say something. You'd wait. You wouldn't do it on the first pull. That's psychopathic. That is insane, because now you're gonna just now you're gonna have the eyes on you. You know what I mean? You know, because you already know coming into this kind of environment, you're already gonna have haters. Like, you're already gonna have like, WoW players think that they can play this video game. Those idiots, bro. They want to play Final Fantasy 14, the hardest game that's ever existed, because. And it would be the same thing with WoW. If Final Fantasy players went into WoW, it would be the same thing. Oh, they want to come play WoW? Those weebs want to come play the real MMO? So, you know people are already going to be looking for shit. But, yeah.
Oh, don't move.
I'm looking away, maybe? Don't move.
He's gonna do the ice again.
Wait, you do have to move, I think. You have to actually use the ice to move you here, because you'd have to... Aren't we gonna get fucking killed right now?
Go away. No,
Not-
we have to move. Life parties? Oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
So, no, we have to. Yeah,
I get it.
I get it too.
You slip across.
Yeah, you slip across. You stand by the red mirror, and then you slip across the other side of the room when the thing happens. That's actually fucking dope.
This next clip is also from E8S, except he kinda just guesses Worm's Lament 2 perfectly out of thin air, going off a very...
That one, I mean, that one I don't know too much. Like, I think that one would have been totally fine if he maybe just, because he says, no, we do have to move. Now, the thing with the ice mechanics in general is, like, the whole thing with the ice is that you either have to be pre-positioned or you have to not move. That's the whole point. So, knowing, like, oh, we're going to have to move at some point, or we needed to, like, oh, I think we needed to already move, or, oh wait, maybe we're gonna have to move now. So, like, the whole point of the ice is you have to be pre-positioned. Think of every single ice mechanic, even E12 with Shiva, you need to be stacked underneath already. You can't wait until the ice and then move underneath, because it's too late. So it's pre-positional with ice in this generally. And if you move during the ice phase, then you kind of messed up. Again, unless E12, you're moving on the ice to get into position with the group soaks on the healers, you know? But to say, oh, I think we're going to have to move, aren't we going to die now? Like, I don't know. That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. But it sounded like THD got it anyway. Like, sounds like, I think seeing that, you immediately know, like, oh, okay, there's two ice things. We have to pre-position. Got it. Yeah.
very little, and having never seen it before. This is Roger P's 6th.
So I think if you just
and then
waited
slip
like 5
across the other
seconds,
side of
it
the
would have
room
been
when the thing
fine.
happens. That's actually fucking dope.
This next clip is also from E8S, except he kinda just guesses Worm's Lament 2 perfectly out of thin air, going off of very little and having never seen it before. This is Roger P's 6th Sense on steroids, I guess.
There's definitely gonna be like at least one more major, like, it could be something as long as like okay, wait, let's talk about the things that we haven't seen twice. The dragon head, right? We haven't seen the dragon head a second time. It's possible that's at the end. Actually, I mean, I'd put money on that.
Why are they
Something involving,
even
like a augmented phase with the dragon head involved, and those debuffs because we only get them once.
Mirrored dragon head.
Why would they even sit and talk about mechanics that could come up? Why would they do that? That seems like a weird idea.
Yeah, something like that. Some kind of mirror phase, the dragon head. There hasn't been like a ton of raid damage so far, so I'm thinking
Okay.
there might be also like a crazy ass fucking like damage phase, like it just doing a ton of those what are they called, like Akmara or whatever, like just a ton of those back to back, just like rifle that shit, like where you'd have to, because that's like the only time we've seen an end savage boss was Titan, and that was like the end of the fight was just like a fucking damage field.
This next clip is also a prediction clip, except instead of predicting...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that... Yeah, again, I don't think any one of these clips on its own is that big a deal. Like, that, I think is pretty fair. I've definitely thought about what bosses could do next in certain fights. Like, E12S, I knew Gaia was going to be a phase because it wasn't an E8 and it should have been, so I knew Gaia was going to be a phase. Somebody said, what do you think phase 2 will be? I'm like, it's obviously going to be Gaia. And it was. And it was like, well, that's just following the signs. But I think if this is your first Savage tier ever, you've never seen an 8, to then predict what an 8 looks like, especially Shiva, I think is kind of nuts, you know? I think that's kind of crazy. Break that, yeah. Yeah. No one individual clipper. I mean, you know.
Worm's Lament 2 out of nowhere, he's going to predict a Savage mechanic from E10S in their one pull of E10 normal.
He's gonna go towards the shadow, I guess? Or... Oh, no, it's forward from the shadow. Yeah, it's relative to the shadow. Okay, I got it.
But Max,
dude, I'm telling you,
well.
there's gonna be...
Cerulean is Max. Also Max. And he figures this out as well, though, instantly. Interesting.
Oh, no, it's forward from the shadow. Yeah, it's relative to the shadow. Okay, I got it. Dude, I'm telling you, there's gonna be... Everyone's gonna have to understand that in Savage. I'd be willing to bet there's like everyone gets a shadow and you have to like face it in a certain direction or some shit. Like, and then he's going to do it. So like, you know, it's forward, shadow goes on you, or at least that would be a really good mechanic. So basically,
oh, did he just guess that you're gonna get individuals with a shadow on them? That's interesting. Yeah, whatever, Ren. That's interesting. The Warrior of Light clip is utterly criminal. Okay, I'll keep an eye on that one.
I think everyone's gonna have to figure it out.
That's interesting.
Next, we have another prediction during their progression of E12S. However, this time, without ever knowing what a door boss is, he is going to guess that the fight just has a checkpoint for some reason and won't send them back.
I know this is the biggest copium of all time, but I hope there's like a fucking checkpoint. And like, you beat that boss, and then whatever the fuck is after that, you just start there every pull. Like that, like Shaw of Fear in WoW.
That sounds like some fucking copium if I've ever heard copium, man.
That is my fucking copium.
That is some fucking...
I mean, has he ever spoke? Like, how do we know he hasn't spoken to somebody about Final Fantasy? Because I think I'd heard of a door boss before, but then you'd say, oh, I already know that a door boss is a thing, I heard about him. Maybe this could be one of them. How far into this fight are they? I remember when I first started playing Final Fantasy, and I knew that bosses could be... I remember talking to you guys in chat about it, and like I found out that bosses could be like 16 minutes. And I was like, are you kidding me? Bro, I'm used to like a 4-minute fight in WoW. I mean, early bosses in Mythic are like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Then you start getting up to like the 7-8 minute mark. And then like the last boss might be about 14. And there's no door. But you're like, oh man, that's long. And then you're like, oh yeah, go do Uwu. It's 21 minutes. And you're like, what? Okay, I don't think it's quite 21 minutes. Actually, Uwu's really short, isn't it? It's actually like 14, 15, something like that. I think Enrage is like 16 on Uwu. Something like that. So that was actually maybe a bad one to choose. But what's I mean, you could infinite loop on DSR, can't you? You could just be stuck there for forever, right? If you want, just keep going round and round. Yeah, it was pretty short. Yeah. That is kind of crazy to predict that there would be a door boss, like the concept of a door boss. The only way I could imagine you'd guess that is if... How late into this fight are they? Because even then, even if... It depends what fight it is. If you're on, like, boss 2, and it's 12 minutes, and the boss is still at, like, 50% HP, and you're like, well, it's not going to be a 24-minute fight. There's got to be something going on. Okay, what if there's, like, a checkpoint, maybe? Okay, yeah, okay. Or maybe it dies at 50... Maybe it dies at 40% or something, you know? Like, maybe we don't actually have to take it down to 0. But to guess a door boss, that's pretty, That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Am I going to do a watch party every day during the free world race? That is my plan. I'm literally just completing Eden now. Done the whole thing blind. Done the whole thing solo cook. I am very excited for Fru. My plan is to just watch the whole thing. And I'm just gonna commentate, you know, obviously with commentating experience. I'm just gonna do that. Casting experience, you know.
In hardcore copium,
It
you
just
are
seems
smoking. You
like
don't
we're
remember
for
the
sure-
Shiva cutscene, bro.
Wait, what are you
Like,
guys
we're
talking
for
about?
sure
What?
not like...
Another thing to keep in mind when reviewing Max's progression strats is the use of uptime strats. Obviously, for people that are progressing after the blind groups had already cleared, so your normal, average, everyday raider, they'll have a more refined strat from a guide that is better for damage or for execution in some cases.
Don't tell me he's about to cook the uptime strat for the mirrors here. You know where you have to do light potty on one, light potty on the other, and you have the tanks furthest out? Don't tell me he's going to cook that. The hardest thing, like right now I'm, like I say, I'm on E12 and I'm looking at Lions and I've got a strat that works, but it is not an uptime strat. Now I know what the uptime strat would be. I can tell you right now the uptime strat will be on the arena. There's a bunch of circles and lines, and there are lines on the floor. And I know that there'll be a specific one that certain people have to stand on, and then you can just launch the lions across the arena and everyone gets uptime. But it would take me a million years to figure out exactly where it is, because it would be such a waste of time trying to figure that out. And it wouldn't be worth it. It would not be worth it to figure out the uptime strat. It would be more efficient to just play well and do something simple, because I know that we're going to meet the DPS check. So cooking a DPS check is actually the hardest thing. Uptime strat is actually the hardest thing, I think, when it comes to cooking. I have done it sometimes, but I've only done like 1 or 2 uptime strats in the whole of my blind cooking, because it's so hard to get pixel perfect, like, positioning, and it not be a waste of time. But yeah, let's see what he says.
But those of us that are trying to progress at the fastest possible rate blind, 9 times out of 10, you opt to keep the strat that you came up with first. And that strat is usually heavy on downtime to make execution easier while you're still fresh on the fight.
Yeah.
Some examples that come to mind straight away are Brambles from E9S, Knockback Mirrors from E8S, and Lions from E12S Part 1.
Yeah.
Max's group somehow went for the Knockback Mirrors uptime strat that wasn't discovered and streamlined for pugs and guides until months after the world first clear. It is the best strat for damage for sure, but it's definitely not something you'd try to do in progression due to...
Wait, what did he say? He said he's using the strat that didn't get executed for... Wait, that doesn't... I'm confused by that. What is he suggesting?
Discovered and streamlined for pugs and to mind straight away are Brambles from E9S, Knockback Mirrors from E8S, and Lions from E12S.
How would he know about it if it hadn't been...
Max's group somehow went for the Knockback Mirrors uptime strat that wasn't discovered and streamlined for pugs and guides until months after the world first cleared.
So then how... Oh, the point being this is months after world first clear, so he has the information now if he had looked at a guide. As in, no one that was doing this on initial progression figured this out. Yeah, no early prog group did this, essentially because it's dumb to do in prog. Yeah, because boss is at like 50%. 46%, and you're gonna mess around with an uptime strat. Yeah. Okay, right, I get it now, I get it.
Clear. It is the best strat for damage for sure, but it's definitely not something you'd try to do in progression due to how tight it is and how many pulls you'd have to throw at it to make sure everyone was good at the insanely tight timing that might not even work.
Follow boss here soon.
Why do you resist?
Okay,
He's a tank and he's on
hard
edge.
Stare at the timer right now.
Nah.
Press cams.
I can get cams.
Nah.
This is in or out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be the
Mirror.
Max's group also...
Bruh. I'll tell you this. There's a good chance the man might just be a genius. But that is a little devious. But there's, I mean, you know, like, to remain impartial here, to give him the benefit of the doubt. He has been doing this raid lead thing for a while. He might, you know, just be used to coming up with some, you know, some strats. If he's a genius, what does that make you? Well, I'm a giga genius, obviously, because I'm solo cooking. So, and I solo cooked Uwu, legit. So, just saying. Actually, you guys, my proudest moment in all of my cooking is figuring out a new strategy for Ifrit nails. I can't even remember how we do it, but I remember that everyone in chat was like, I've never seen that before. And it worked. That was a thing of beauty. That was a thing of beauty. Now, you're never going to use it because you just skip the charges, but that's okay. Still a bit of fun.
Also went for the Happy Bramble strat in E9S. This is a strat that's both good at uptime and ease of execution. And much better than most groups' blind progression strategy would have been. 9 out of 10 blind progression groups would have kept the Brambles in Protean positions, because that's how they're placed in normal mode, and therefore how you're taught the fight should work. But you can quickly realize that if you do place them like this, then breaking the chains is pretty terrible. Though this is still the first fight, and many groups won't care about that, and will just run around like monkeys until the chains break so that they don't need to waste an extra pull to try a new strategy, because the fight should be dead in around an hour anyhow. The handful of groups that do care about this, though, will instead come up with a strategy that separates the DPS and the non-DPS to make breaking the chains easier.
Didn't I do that?
They'll also want to place the Brambles out of the way of the room or any other mechanics. This usually ends up with you placing 4 of them north and 4 of them south in a horizontal line, so they're out of the way of everything. This is a very natural progression strategy, and it's actually pretty close to what Echo started trying. They placed all 8 of them south, and then it split off the DPS and non-DPS to the northwest and northeast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I figured this out as well. I don't think this is that big a deal. We'll see, though.
Community or not, up to you.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, yeah, Echo's doing it. Okay, yeah.
And then go back. Go back. Here.
Also somehow opted from their very first ever pull, where people were just running around and dying to fire, to somehow do the Billy Lion strat, having hardly any info on how wide the cones are or where the safe spots had to be for the players that aren't playing the cone mechanic at the time.
Oh, just lions?
And just instantly figuring out all of the positions for this common pug strat.
And you would rotate and do...
Will this work? Yeah, this is a pug strat. This is like the Billy strat. It's one of the most popular strats in the game.
Billy? Oh, wasn't I close to cooking this? I remember when I was doing this and you guys were like, Billy. I remember just everyone in chat typing Billy. But I didn't quite figure it out, but I was close, wasn't I?
And you do the fire portals, right? Like, and then tanks and healers be the same. It's just DPS. You guys are gonna.
When I say this isn't a viable prog strat, so these spots are pretty finicky to locate. Well, first, they don't actually know the width of the cones. Which, unless you get multiple POVs and cross-reference and test, cross-lands isn't something you think of straight away.
On north here, it would be THD and cams.
Are these the actual positions right here? Is this where everyone would go? I mean, this would come across here. This would come across here. Wouldn't that kill the tank? That one would come across there. Oh, maybe that one's there. That one's there. That one's there. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of obvious sort of roughly where you need to be. Oh, that's not it now? Okay. Well, it's like... The idea being roughly, it's a lineup in the middle. Okay. But it's obvious that, like, they're going to cleave, like, I don't know. What kind of angle is that? I don't know what angle that is, but... You just get that times 4. And then the 2 big lions, I think, are a little bit iffy, but... it's obvious that there is a position where you can sort of intersect across, you know, and maintain uptime. But you'd have to get it pinpoint. Like he's saying, you'd have to get multiple POVs and, like, cross-reference it. You couldn't just from one POV be like, oh, it's there, you gotta go stand there, bro. Like, there's two, like, them hitting across at the same time is... Whew. They dip out and then the big line outside and small lines shoot diagonally. Yeah, that would make sense, yep. Because it will either be ranged, it'll be ranged twice, which if it's healers or ranged, it's like, who cares? They lose minor uptime, I think. And then for melee, they only have to do once, and, you know, you just pray it's on tanks, and then you're not actually losing that much damage. I'm assuming that's how it's kind of looking.
Right, and then on south it would be...
These next 2 clips are from the Warrior of Light Extreme Trial.
But did he actually cook the... Wait, he didn't actually show... I'm confused about that one because he didn't actually show Max doing the lion strat. He's just showing him talking about it. Yeah.
These are the clips that I think are the most damning and the most obvious that he already knows what's going to happen and is not truly blind.
But no, like, I'll explain what I mean later. So look where the swords are going. I guess okay, swords are okay.
Wait, what does he mean? So look where this. How did he? Oh yeah, no, that's
maybe
fine.
Over here. Come over this side.
Yeah.
Maybe that's.
Yeah.
Okay, so those.
There are multiple issues with this clip. The first obviously being that this is their first pull of normal mode and their first time ever seeing this mechanic. There is no way that he knows that the sword should be moving, yet a good 5 seconds before the sword even begins to move, he's already calling out to watch where the sword is going.
What happens before this though? Does the sword not does it shoot out from the boss and position there or something? I mean, the fact he's already looking for it is interesting. This is the first sword. Wow, okay. And it just spawns on the wall? Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty damning. Bro, why would you look up an extreme though? Wait, isn't this just a trial? This is just normal. You're not looking up a normal, dude. You're not. The thing is, this man's a genius because there's no fucking chance that you're looking up a normal guide. Okay? There's 0% chance. If I was a gambling man, I promise no one's looking up a guide for normal. Okay? No chance. I've raided with people in World of Warcraft that don't even look up a guide for Mythic. There's no chance that they're looking at a guide for normal. It's a trial. It's not even a raid boss. It's a trial. Yeah, you watch the extreme? Yeah. No, I'm just joking, obviously.
He knows that the sword should be moving, yet a good 5 seconds before the sword even begins to move, he's already calling out to watch where the sword is going. There's about 150 different things that the sword could be doing here. There could be a knockback from the sword similar to a tidal wave in E3S, or a protean spread from around the sword like in Varus, but to just know that it's instantly going to move is a little strange. Not only that, but notice how he says swords, plural, rather than just one sword. This is because in the extreme guide he watched, he knows that there are 3 swords that each draw their own shape, and you have to dodge into the safe spot that isn't being drawn on. However, the first time you see this mechanic in normal mode, there's only 1 sword, and the second time you see it in normal mode, there are 2 swords. This is because, like in any other fight in this game, they like to teach you the mechanics first before throwing them at you in more complex ways.
Yeah,
this last clip is my favorite clip. It's
chat. I'll be honest, that doesn't look too. That's kind of a that's not the best. Okay. This is like, by the way, being brought down by a normal boss when you've done E8 and E12 and you get brought down by a normal boss is like when a mobster has been like killing people and racketeering and this and that, and they get brought down because of like some tax payment that they dodged on like a hot dog at a baseball game 4 years ago. And you're like, really, bro? After all the stuff you did, you're funneling drugs into the country, thousands of tons of coke a year coming over the border, and you're whacking people, and you got brought down by a baseball game hot dog? That's what this is right here.
It's absolutely insane to me how anyone could possibly predict this. Even over predicting something like Worm's Lament 2 or the player shadow mechanic from E10S, which is already crazy enough on its own. He somehow knows that the boss will take 0 damage if you try to use melee limit break because it's some niche limit break boss. When his team asks if they should use the melee limit break, he is very hesitant to give the go ahead because he knows if they use limit break, the boss will cast Hollowed Ground and go completely invulnerable to damage for the next 10 seconds. They end up using the limit break anyway, and he's genuinely surprised how the boss takes any damage at all because he was expecting it to go invulnerable. However, what he doesn't know here is that if you cast LB3 while the boss is cast locked, it actually can't use the Hollowed Ground. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, because that's what we did. That's what happened to us, where chat was like, Sai, you are so lucky. They were like, if you'd LB3'd a second later, you would have immune the boss. And I was like, really? Yeah, we got lucky, didn't we? Yeah. I remember this now. I remember this. Yeah. Yeah, this is the only fight in the entire game with an LB damage negation. Yeah, this one is this one is probably the most damning of anything, right?
However, what he doesn't know here is that if you cast LB3 while the boss is cast locked, it actually can't use the hallowed ground. And that's exactly what happens. Notice his surprise at the end, and he even asks if the boss took any damage.
We want a melee DPS limit break?
We don't know.
He's like 4%, bro.
I feel like
Okay.
I feel like we don't know how it works, but it's a weird limit break niche boss. Maybe like doing DPS limit break does some weird ass shit.
It's on it.
Chat, I gotta go. That's a little bit sussy, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. That's a little bit sussy.
Yeah, you taunt. I'm slurping to you. Just honestly hold it in case something goes. I don't know. Do you guys?
I think we.
Do you want to send it?
Just fucking send it, bro.
I don't.
Bruh, the boss is at 4% health. You're sending the melee LB. In any environment, you are sending the LB. What are you holding for? There is no way you are not sending. You're not going to get another one.
I don't know.
Alright, fuck it, I'm sending it.
Yeah,
bro.
just send it. I feel like it's gonna do some weird shit, but
Skip these fucking mobs, bro. Fuck soaking.
wait, did he take any?
Yeah, you take damage.
Oh,
Yeah,
he,
I want to be very clear in that I don't think that this is a group effort, and I only think that Max himself is cheating. I find it very ironic that on some occasions,
That is, okay, the one thing that in my impartial mind to get into the mindset here, if you were cheating, okay, sorry, not cheating, if you were being dishonest and you didn't want people to think you were being dishonest, you'd just shut up. You wouldn't say anything. There's no way you would second guess yourself on things and be like, wait, he took, like, you wouldn't, because then people would, you'd know. So there's no way, because there's just no way. There's no way. So based on that data, I don't think that he's being dishonest, because there's no way that you would be dishonest and then leave a trail of breadcrumbs for the person to find out. You know what I mean? Like, you just wouldn't, you wouldn't do that.
Max is suspicious of his own teammates and believes that they might be cheating or knowing the fights beforehand as well. There was one day in particular where Max was very suspicious of THD and constantly typing to his chat that he believes that THD might be cheating.
there's
The
4
sacrifice
safe spots.
or whatever.
Yeah, there's 4 safe spots and there's 4 soaks, which means you would just need to send a healer and a DPS to each marker. We can pre-assign that. And then if we ever get axe kick, we know to
He's safe for Axie can immediately spread in our normal
How did he
cardinal
know
and the
that?
cardinal, probably, right?
How did you know that?
Because
What?
we spread right here.
No,
And I'm rewatching the VOD.
the four safe spot thing. Oh shit, yeah, I'm dead because of that. So these
Then these dragons
wait,
are lines, and you just bait them to the sides of the room. Right?
how do you know this?
Because, I'll be honest, guys, this one's pretty obvious on what to do. I'm pretty sure I cooked this first time, like mid-fight. I was like, oh, get these out. This one's pretty obvious, but this is actually, oh, this is like baby lions. This is like baby lions. Look at that. Wow. That's actually really cute.
It just makes sense. See, I've seen it before.
Well, yeah, where have you seen it before?
Leveling, man. That's why you gotta level.
Dude, leveling's the strat. keep moving, right?
The last couple things I want to say is that I want to
Yeah, if you don't know, THD is a bit sus, but if anyone watched WoW Prog, he is the same there, actual 9-head. THD doesn't speak for an entire progression tier.
thank Echo for being genuine and truly attempting all these raids blind. It's been extremely fun to watch your progression, and it's super interesting to me to see how you guys go about thinking things versus how we might have done in the past. I also think it's very cool that even though this content is over a year old now, you guys have still created strats that not a single group has done before because of how original they are.
Yeah, they're looking at Echo here. I do think there is some, like, I do think... I mean, it's kind of interesting, actually, because... Oh, this is Lions, yeah. This is interesting because... Echo's actually lost the last couple races, but they're more experienced now, I'd say, having played FF, which is kind of weird. Like, I do still think they've gained value. I mean, I guess because they've got 20 players, not 20. They don't have 20 people playing FF, but like, I do feel like I do feel like playing Final Fantasy. Sorry, I was just losing thought because I was thinking in the chat. I do feel like playing Final Fantasy has made me an infinitely better player. Like, just from a standpoint of I've gotten so much better at just raid leading, and my raid leading is still not great, but before it was non-existent. Like, before it was 0. So going from 0 to where I'm at now, I'm very happy with. I'm way more observant. Yeah, I'm way more like, and I'm way more just experienced. Like a mechanic occurs, I'm like, right, it's going to be this and this. It's going to have to be so... Think of the first time I ever got a debuff splurge, and then now I get a debuff splurge, I'm just like, oh, okay, so we're going to have to solve it like this, da-da-da-da-da. And you just go through the motions, and you have it all locked in of, like, the sequence of how you're going to do things, and, you know, like, right, the game's going to program, it's either going to be on light parties, or it's going to be healers, or it's going to be supports versus DPS, or it's going to be like pairs, or it's, you know the way that the game is going to handle certain things, and you also know where the game is going to be like, nah, that's a little bit too much. I don't think the game's going to do that on this level of difficulty. Yada yada, yada yada. So I do think that Echo are going to be way better for it, having come in and played this game, and I do think that playing WoW and playing FF just it's going to make you a better player at this kind of stuff in general, and it's obviously really nice that Echo have been enjoying the process, you know? Guys, my treadmill has actually stopped. I've actually outwalked my own treadmill. I've been walking for 2 hours, and the treadmill has said, stop it. So this is their strat for, so they have the brownie, why is it called the brownie strat? Roger Brown, maybe? Did he come up with it? So what do they do for the first one? So they wait for the rapture. Oh, this is depending on where the rapture is, yeah? So they do... This one goes up north. So wait, where does the person stand for the big lion? Oh, there. Ah. So this one goes... So where does this person stand? There? Yeah, that person stands there. That person stands there. So they overlap each other. Well, like, don't overlap each other. There's a safe spot there where 2 people stand. Then large lion goes up there. Straight. Oh, that looks so delicate to do. Good lord. The question I have is, bro, why bother? Because you can do this fight without needing to do an uptime strat. Like, why even bother? Like, I don't see the point. Just go stand next to your lion and it's infinitely easier. Yeah, it's a bit tighter. Yeah, that's fair.
Your progression compared to this maximum group, it's like a night and day difference, and it's very refreshing to watch you guys actually do these things blind. I would say that it would be cool to watch Limit progress in the next tier and see how well they do in the next expansion, but Max has already said that they're just going to copy whoever the furthest streaming group is at the time, because that's what any other progression group would do. I don't necessarily disagree with this if that's what they want to do to place as well as they can. However, I hope they can consider actually playing the tier blind this time, because I still think it would be interesting to watch. I would rather watch them not figure out a mechanic for 5 hours and constantly wipe to it than to have them have watched a guide ahead of time and just one-shot it.
Well, you've got to understand what your niche is as a WoW player coming to, as you know, one of the best guilds in the world in World of Warcraft, coming into FF. People don't want to see you copy somebody else's strat just to place like in the top 10 or whatever. Now, I mean, it's one of two things. You either need to come in to the scene and you need to absolutely smoke everybody, and you need to just be rank 1 and go, wow, this game's easy. Look at us, we're the best. Or you need to just play blind and just say like, okay, how can we exhibit our expertise on this game into this game, which is what I'm doing, right? But you have to do one or the other. There's no point copying if you're just going to come like 52nd or something in the world, or 10th in the world, like, because then people are gonna, you know, there's no real story there. It's kind of a deflating story. But yeah,
that like there's almost none of these people left, but there's definitely a group of people that I don't know why are like just like convinced that we watch videos on these, which first of all would be the most insane thing to act and just like pretend like we haven't and then all watch them. But like it actually doesn't even make logical sense that we would do it, because like us watching videos and doing it blind, we gain nothing from that. You lose all of the fun. You know what I mean? Like, you lose all of the fun of figuring it out. If you don't like me or don't like us and you join our stream and we ever figure out a mechanic, your mind is initially going to be a skeptic and be like, huh, bet they looked that up. But like, if you look at all the bosses we've done, if we as a group collectively have looked up guides, do you know how fucking embarrassing it would be that it took us sometimes like a whole day to kill one of these savage bosses and have the wrong strat? That doesn't make...
yeah, I mean, the thing about that is you have incentive to be dishonest and you have incentive to not be dishonest. It just depends on you, the person, of which way you want to go with it. I'm still not convinced. Like, I'm still not going to sit here and accuse him. I'm not really bothered in doing that, and it's not really like, this is just supposed to be a bit of fun. But I could see why somebody would cheat, or, you know, say that they didn't when they had, but I could see why it would be value in not doing that. Like, my stream's definitely been way more popular because I've been doing stuff blind. If I just said, hey guys, I've looked up a guide for this fight, people would probably lose interest. So for me, I actually gained more from not looking up strats. And my favorite thing to do is to kill a boss and then go, okay, we're going to watch a guide. I want to see how the hell you're supposed to do this fight and how close did I get to that. That's the most fun bit, is watching the guide.